Hello everyone. Today I am going to speak about one of the most famous and important churches in India, the Basilica of Bom Jesus in Goa. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is located in Old Goa near Panji. It is one of the most famous Christian monuments in India. The church is especially known because it contains the mortal remains of Saint Francis Xavier, a great Christian missionary. The word Bom Jesus means good Jesus. The basilica is dedicated to the infant Jesus. It is an important place of prayer, history, art, and culture. Thousands of people from India and other countries visit this beautiful church every year. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is in Old Goa, which was once an important center of Portuguese rule in India. Today, Old Goa is a historic area with many old churches and monuments. It reminds us of Goa's long history and its connection with Portuguese culture and Christianity. The basilica stands among several other historic churches. Its location makes it an important part of the heritage of Goa. When visitors arrive at Basilica, they can see its beautiful old building. The church has special appearance because it was built many centuries ago. The construction of Basilica of Bom Jesus began in the late 16th century. The foundation stone was laid in 1594 and the church was completed and consecrated in 1605. This means that Basilica is more than 400 years old. Imagine visiting a building that was constructed more than 4 centuries ago. Many generations of people have prayed inside the church, visited it, and cared for it. The basilica has survived for hundreds of years and continues to be an important religious and historical monument. To understand why the basilica is so famous, we need to know about Saint Francis Xavier. Francis Xavier was born in 1506 in the kingdom of Navarre in an area that is now a part of Spain. He became a priest and later joined the Society of Jesus, also known as Jesuits. He became a missionary and traveled to different parts of Asia to teach people about Christianity. Francis Xavier arrived in Goa in 1542. During this time in Goa, he worked among local people and taught them about Christian faith. He also traveled to other parts of Asia, including parts of India, Japan, and Southeast Asia. He spent much of his life traveling and helping people. Saint Francis Xavier died on December 3, 1552, on the island of Shangchuan in China. After his death, his body was brought to Goa. His information on the life of his Saint Francis Xavier is given in my long video, which you can hear. It is given in the video section of my channel. So I have given a detailed information on the life of Saint Francis Xavier. So you can refer to that. His remains were eventually placed in Basilica of Bom Jesus. This is one of the many reasons why the basilica became such an important pilgrimage site. Even today, people visit the church to pray near the tomb of Saint Francis Xavier. One of the most important objects inside the basilica is the tomb of Saint Francis Xavier. The tomb is made from beautiful marble and is decorated with detailed artwork. Above the tomb is a silver casket that contains his mortal remains. The tomb is an important work of art as well as religious monument. People from different countries come to the basilica to see the tomb and pay their respect to the saint. For Christians, especially Catholics, Saint Francis Xavier is remembered as a missionary who devoted his life to spreading the Christian message and serving people. The basilica is especially famous because the mortal remains of Saint Francis Xavier are preserved there. For many years, people have come to Goa to pray at his tomb. The remains have been displayed publicly on special occasions. These events attract large number of pilgrims and visitors. The preservation of his remains is an important part of Basilica's history. It is also one of the reasons why Basilica of Bom Jesus is known around the world. Basilica of Bom Jesus is famous for its beautiful architecture. The outside of the building has a strong and simple appearance. It was built in a style influenced by European and Portuguese culture, architecture. The front of the church has several levels and decorative details. Unlike some churches that are covered with bright paint, the outside wall of Basilica of Bom Jesus have a distinctive old appearance. The passage of time has given the building a unique character. Inside, however, visitors can see beautiful decorations, paintings, carvings, and religious artwork. The interior of the church, when we enter the basilica, we can see a peaceful and sacred space. The interior contains beautiful wooden work, paintings, statues, and decorations. The main altar is especially impressive. At the center of the altar is an image connected with the infant Jesus. The decorations show stories and important people from Christianity. The artistic work inside the basilica helps visitor understand the religious importance of the church. The building is not only a place of worship but also an example of historical art and craftsmanship. The main altar is one of the most attractive parts of basilica. It is richly decorated and designed to draw attention towards the central religious image. The altar is connected with the dedication of church to Bom Jesus or Good Jesus. For people attending Mass, the altar is a central place of worship. The beautiful decorations around it show the importance of faith and devotion. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is an important place for Catholics in India and around the world. People come there for many reasons. Some come to pray, some come to attend Mass, some come to visit the tomb of St. Francis Xavier. Others come because they are interested in history, architecture, and culture. The Basilica reminds Christians about the life and missionary work of St. Francis Xavier. It also reminds visitors about the importance of faith service, courage, and dedication. Basilica of Bom Jesus is not important only because of religion. It is important because of India's history. It's part of India's history. Goa has a long and interesting history involving different cultures, languages, religions, and communities. The Portuguese influence can be seen in many old buildings in Goa. The Basilica is one of the best known examples of this historical collection. Because of its age and importance, the Basilica is considered one of the most valuable heritage buildings in Goa. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is a part of the churches and convents of Goa, which were declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1986. UNESCO World Heritage Sites are places considered to have outstanding value to humanity. Being included on the World Heritage List shows how important these churches and monuments are to world history and culture. The Basilica, therefore, has importance not only for Goa or India but also for people around the world. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is an important pilgrimage destination. A pilgrimage is a journey that people make to a special religious place. Many pilgrims travel to Goa to visit the Basilica and pray at the tomb of St. Francis Xavier. For believers, such a visit can be deeply meaningful experience. People may come with their families, join religious celebrations, attend mass, or simply spend time in prayer. The Basilica welcomes people from different backgrounds and countries. Every year, Catholics in Goa celebrate the feast of St. Francis Xavier. The feast is traditionally observed on December 3, the saint's feast day. Large number of people gather in Goa for religious celebrations connected with St. Francis Xavier. Special masses and prayers are held. The celebration shows the strong devotion that people have towards the saint. It is also an important cultural event in Goa. Another important event connected with the basilica is the public exposition of the relics of St. Francis Xavier. During an exposition, the saint's remains are made available for public veneration. This special event attracts pilgrims from many parts of India and from other countries. People wait patiently to visit the basilica, pray, and pay their respects. It is a powerful example of how the basilica continues to be an important religious center even after more than 4 centuries. The Basilica of Bom Jesus contains many examples of religious art. There are paintings, scriptures, carvings, and decorations. These works of art were created to express Christians' belief and to tell stories from Bible and lives of saints. In the past, art was also an important way of teaching religious stories to people. Visitors can therefore learn about both religion and history by looking carefully at the artwork inside the basilica. The name Bom Jesus comes from Portuguese. It means good Jesus. The church is dedicated to the infant Jesus. The name is simply simple, but it carries an important message. For Christians, Jesus represents love, kindness, forgiveness, hope, and salvation. Therefore, the name Bom Jesus reminds believers of these important values. Goa is one of India's most popular tourist destination. People visit Goa for its beaches, natural beauty, food, culture, and history. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is one of the important historical attractions in the state. Many tourists who visit Goa also visit Old Goa and its famous churches. The Basilica gives visitors an opportunity to learn about the history of Goa instead of only enjoying its beaches and modern tourist attractions. It shows that Goa has a rich cultural heritage. The story of Basilica also teaches us about Saint Francis Xavier. He traveled long distances and faced many difficulties during his missionary work. His life was focused on his religious beliefs and helping others. Regardless of a person's religion, some qualities associated with his life can inspire us. These include dedication, courage, service, discipline, and concern for others. His story teaches us that a person can make a difference by using their time and abilities to help people. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is more than 400 years old. Building this old need careful protection. Weather, pollution, humidity, insects, and the passage of time can damage historic buildings. Preserving such monuments is important because they tell us about the past. When we protect historical buildings, we protect part of our cultural memory. Future generations should also have the opportunity to see these places and learn from them. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is an active place of worship. Visitors should therefore behave respectfully. People should speak quietly inside the church. They should dress appropriately and follow the instructions given by the church authorities. Photography may be restricted in certain areas, so visitors should follow the rules. Most importantly, visitors should remember that the Basilica is not simply a tourist attraction, it is a sacred place where people come to pray. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is special for many reasons. First, it is more than 400 years old. Second, it is connected with the life and remains of Saint Francis Xavier. Third, it has beautiful architecture and religious artwork. Fourth, it is a part of UNESCO World Heritage. Fifth, it continues to be an important place of worship and pilgrimage. All these things make the Basilica one of the most important landmarks in Goa. When we think about Goa, we often think about beaches, palm trees, music, and tourism. But Goa has much more to offer. Its churches, temples, forts, traditional houses, festivals, food, and local traditions are also a part of its identity. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is an important symbol of this heritage. It connects the present with the past. Standing in front of old basilica help us imagine the people who lived in Goa centuries ago. The Basilica of Bom Jesus carries several important messages. It reminds us about faith, it reminds us about service, it reminds us about history, it reminds us about to respect different cultures and traditions. It also teaches the importance of preserving our heritage. A historical building is like a book made of stone, wood, and art, and when we protect it, we keep its story alive. To conclude, the Basilica of Bom Jesus in Goa is one of India's most famous historical and religious monuments. It was built more than 4 centuries ago in Old Asia, Old Goa. The basilica is especially famous because it houses the mortal remains of Saint Francis Xavier, who came to Goa in 1542 and became one of the most well known Christian missionaries in Asia. The church is beautiful because of its architecture, artwork, altar, and historical atmosphere. It is also a part of the churches and convents of Goa UNESCO World Heritage Site. Every year, thousands of people visit the basilica to pray, learn about history, admire its architecture, and pay their respects to Saint Francis Xavier. The Basilica of Bom Jesus is therefore much more than an old church. It is a place where faith, history, art, culture, and heritage come together. It teaches us that we should respect our history and preserve important places for future generations. The story of Basilica of Bom Jesus also reminds us that buildings can carry the memories of many generations. When we visit such places, we should not only look at their beauty, we should also try to understand their history and respect the people and community for whom these places are sacred. The Basilica of Bom Jesus will continue to stand as an important symbol of Goa's rich heritage and as a place of faith and pilgrimage for people from around the world. Hope you all loved the information about Bom Jesus, Basilica of Bom Jesus. I would insist you to visit the place. It's very beautiful, it's very historical, and it is a symbol of Goa's rich heritage. So, and it contains the remains of Saint Francis Xavier. So do have a visit into this beautiful heritage. So thank you for hearing and supporting my channel.